Good evening, council members. Good evening, Mayor Hopkins. Welcome. To welcome everybody to council chambers where we haven't had a full council meeting here in 16 months. So I'd like to welcome you all. Welcome everybody watching at home on Zoom and on YouTube. This is a feat of technology and I'm happy to join you all. I'd like to call the Monday, July 26, 2021 council meeting to order. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Manzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council Vice President Brady, Council President Paplaskas.
Present. I'd like to welcome you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. I would like to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Manzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. I'd like to also set for the record that Council Member Jermaine and Council Vice President Brady both have scheduled vacations and we wish them well. I'd also like to wish Council Vice President Brady a very happy birthday. So happy birthday, Ed. If you're watching, sorry, we don't have a cake for you, but we'll have one when you get back. Under public acknowledgements and commendations, first up, we have Rachel Zarella, 2021 USA Skills Competition, Rhode Island Gold Medal Award and National Gold Medal Award winner in early childhood education. Councilmember Marino, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening. This evening, we as the council have the pleasure of presenting Rachel Zarella of Cranston West High School graduate of class of 2021 with a citation this evening. We are here to congratulate her on her accomplishment of obtaining not just the Rhode Island Gold Medal and the Skills USA for early childhood education, but also for becoming the National Gold Medal winner for the Skills USA competition for early childhood education. We all know what our students, some of us are children, faced in the last year and a half with school. So I think that this accomplishment deserves extra praise, and we wish her great success in the future. I would like to read the citation to Rachel this evening. In the Cranston City Council, be it be known to all that the Cranston City Council hereby issues this citation to Rachel Zarella in proud recognition of receiving the 2021 USA Skills Competition Rhode Island Gold Medal Award and National Gold Medal Award in early childhood education. The entire council extends its sincerest congratulations and very best wishes on this memorable occasion and express their hope for continued good fortune. And Rachel, if you'd like to come up with your parents and your family, that would be great.
Councilmember Marino, the floor is still yours. I believe we have one more commendation.
Thank you, Council President. Also this evening, we, the Cranston City Council, would like to give our sincere gratitude to many years of service to the dedicated Coach Thomas Centuri of the Cranston East Thunderbolt football team. Hats off to you, sir, for your dedication with the students over the years. I'm sure you've dealt with every issue imaginable, and even those that you didn't anticipate, especially in the last year and a half. You have been with us since 2003 up until now. We wish you great success in your future as well. And I will read this citation to you as well. The Cranston City Council, be it known to all that the Cranston City Council hereby issues this citation to Coach Thomas Centuri. In proud recognition of your retirement as the head coach of Cranston East High School football, we recognize and honor your dedication to the East football program since 2003 until 2021, which includes raising that program from the ranks of Division II to Division I and capturing the Thunderbolt Division I Super Bowl championship in 2017. The entire council extends its sincerest congratulations and very best wishes on this memorable occasion and express their hope for continued good fortune.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and thank you to Ms. Zarella and Coach Centuri. Congratulations again, and thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay, moving on to public hearings and public comment. Public hearings are limited to the subject matter of docketed matters only. Public comment is permitted. This time for a hybrid model, so we can take public comment online on Zoom and in person. So at this time, I'll ask if there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak on a docketed item. We'll go one person in chambers, and then we'll check and see if there's somebody online. We'll kind of alternate back and forth and see how that goes for the first time. So anybody here that would like to speak under public comment on docketed items? Okay, there being none. Anybody online?
There is no one, Mr. Council President.
Okay, there isn't. So I will close public hearings. Thank you. Moving on to resolutions. We do not have any. Moving on to report of committees. Public Works Committee, Council Majority Leader Robert Ferry. Floor is yours.
Looks like we have one matter on the docket tonight, sponsored by Council President Poplaskis. So I'll turn that over to you at this time.
Thank you. Also, I forgot to say, you don't have to sit through the whole meeting if you don't want to. You are more than excused. You know, I had to ask if you wanted to come up and talk about public works ordinances or street paving. Thank you. You know what? We'll give a couple minutes for you all to leave. Thank you. Bear with us 1 minute if you're watching at home. Director Lima, do you want to go or stay? Do you want to stay? That's what I figured. All right, moving on to report of committees. We have one item, 521-04, ordinance amendment of chapter 13.8 Code of City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Public Services Sewer Service System. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I believe this was passed unanimously in committee. Under discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Brady, Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. I believe that concludes the Public Works Committee. Moving on to the Claims Committee, Council Minority Leader Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. The matters on the docket this evening are here for informational purposes only.
Thank you, Councilman Donegan. Moving on to the Ordinance Committee, Councilman Riley.
Thank you, Council President. The Ordinance Committee, there were 4 ordinances. Ordinance 3-21-04 had been withdrawn by its sponsor. Ordinance 6-21-01 has been continued for 1 month to the August ordinance meeting. And Ordinance 6-21-02, sponsored by Councilman Ferry, did pass the Ordinance Committee unanimously, and I would ask that it be passed by the full council.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. I'll entertain a motion on 6-21-02.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second under discussion. There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Councilmember Riley, you have one more.
Thank you, Council President. And finally, Ordinance 6-21-03 was continued for 2 months to the September ordinance meeting. And that is all from the Ordinance Committee.
Thank you very much, Councilman Riley. Moving on to public comment for undocketed items. Is anybody here from the public to speak on an undocketed item in chambers? I don't see any. Tom, do we see anybody online on Zoom?
No public comment.
Okay, give a few more seconds, see if anybody raises their hand. Any? Okay, at this time, I will close public comment for undocketed items. Thank you very much. Moving on to election and or appointment of city officials. We have before us the appointment of Emerson Brito as a bilingual election specialist. And I will entertain a motion to approve the employment and compensation as provided for in the fiscal year 2021-22 budget.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second under discussion. Solicitor? Yes.
Members of the council, I just want to address this issue that's before you right now, simply on the legalities, keeping it as simple as we can. Last week, the canvassing board met and approved the nomination of Mr. Brito. That's before you right now. That is not what we're discussing here, so to speak. The legalities of the issue as the administration sees it is that 1785 subsection A4 specifically by general statute deals with clerks and technical support staff. That's a number one. The language is clear and unambiguous on its face. Mr. Brito's appointment, while the administration would clearly argue is not within the canvassing board's authority based on that, that statute also raises some questions as a separation of powers issue. This is the state of Rhode Island general laws. The statute has not been addressed since 1987, and that statute is infringing on the home rule charter of the city of Cranston by giving the authority to the canvassing board by telling the administration who they can hire, by saying that they can set the compensation. The individual, whether it be Mr. Brito or anybody else, will be a member, I strike that, an employee of the city of Cranston, subject to the administration of the city of Cranston, in which the mayor is the head of all departments based on our charter. The canvassing department is also a department by charter, in which the head of the department serves the administration. Specifically, the language that's been placed by the canvassing board in the request to hire Mr. Brito, the specific language in both the May, strike that please, the June and the July meeting was placed as a bilingual specialist. That does not fit 1785. So I think we're going down a very dangerous path by having this council approve the appointment. That being said, I also have, there's another issue that Mr. Rawson, who's been the solicitor for the city for many years prior to myself, and his deputy solicitor, should be on Zoom right now, and would be happy to address that issue. Oh, I didn't even see Mr. Rawson step in, so if I could turn over the podium to Mr. Rawson with the permission of the council president, that would be great.
Sir Rawson, you may approach. Long time no see. How are you, sir?
Everybody, nice to see you in person. I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on Solicitor Malay. As the city, any department, obviously appointments are extremely vital to the city, but we also have to be very careful about appointments. And this appointment, if it is approved tonight, this appointment is going to be subject in all likelihood to the CBA. They'll be a member of the Teamsters, and they'll be under the authority of the administration. If you look at 1785, it lists clerical and technical assistants. There is an issue whether a election bilingual specialist is someone that deals with the machinations of elections, the actual technical part of the election, the machines, et cetera, or is this a clerk? Under 1785A4, that appointment, though, is still, even if it's a clerk or a technical assistant, it would be under the administration. It would also be subject to be a member of the Teamsters. They would also be subject to a CBA. So again, this appointment is not without strings, and there's certainly some gray areas, whether it's an appointment under the administration or under the canvasser. So I just bring this to the council's attention that I think there's some open issues. I think the administration has also been in touch with Mr. President about the authority of the canvasser as a department head versus an appointment of the council. But that's not before us today, before you today, excuse me. It really is an issue of the title of this position, who appoints this position, and ultimately starting tomorrow, this person is under the CBA as a Teamster. So that's, and again, who appoints them might not be as nearly as relevant as actually the strings that are attached with this appointment as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Solicitor Rawson. Solicitor Malay, does that conclude your?
Thank you, Mr. President. It does, except I just want to just put the finishing statement that after Mr. Rawson speaks. This could be subject to a grievance. If that's up to, we don't know. I mean, that's looking into a crystal ball. But if there were to be a grievance that were filed based on this appointment, that could end up costing the city thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think it's important before this body jumps through that hoop, I think it's important to get the answers that are needed prior to doing that. And I thank you.
Thank you, Solicitor Malay. Before I open it up to questions or comments from council members, I see Mr. Jack Voney here, the chairman of the Board of Canvassers. Did you have anything to add or say at this time? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. Before any questions, I think it might be helpful to to get an opinion from the city council attorney on the matter.
Good evening, council members, members of the administration. Obviously, there are some things that I disagree with here, candidly. The issue of separation of powers in the leading case on separation of powers really is of no moment here, in my opinion. Whether or not Mr. Brito is a clerk or a technical specialist is really a factual matter determined at the level of the Board of Canvassers and in his appointment. I don't have a job description. I don't know if the council has seen one. So I don't know to what job he's been appointed, whether it's a clerk or a technical specialist, but certainly under the statute cited by Solicitor Malaya, the Board of Canvassers is given the authority to appoint clerks and technical assistants by the general laws of the state of Rhode Island. So if you look at 17-8-5, and it singles out Central Falls, Newport, Woonsocket, and Cranston. And it says that the employment and compensation shall be subject to the approval of the respective city and town councils. And I read that in part. That's 17-8-5A4. And that's with respect to the appointment of clerks and technical assistants of the Board of Canvassers. It's pretty clear from the state elections law that elections law in general, whether it be on a local level or on a state level, is designed to be free of interference of any kind from political influences. With that said, it's also clear that it is intended that the respective majority and minority parties have the right to make appointments to the Board of Canvassers subject to the approval of the local legislative body. If you look at the city charter, for example, and if you bear with me a minute, talks about the application of state laws in section 2.02. And it subjects the city of Cranston to the election laws of the state of Rhode Island. With that said, however, I would argue to you that the charter is not a constitution, and our state Supreme Court has recognized that. There's only one constitution on the state level in Rhode Island and only one federal constitution. And certainly a general statute regulating elections would take precedent over conflicting local regulation of elections. So, and I think our state Supreme Court has been clear on that. The other issue that's been raised here tonight has to do with this employee, if in fact he becomes an employee of the city, is subject to a collective bargaining agreement because he would become a member of the Teamsters. Well, that issue has been addressed. That issue was addressed by the state Supreme Court in 2017. It was a Johnston case, and it specifically dealt with a Board of Canvassing clerk who had been displaced from their position as a result of the position being eliminated in a budget battle of some kind. And the Supreme Court was clear that 17-8-5 and state labor law are not in conflict with one another. In fact, the case goes on to reconcile how in this instance they come together. And it specifically, I think, is on point. So, we're not here to litigate this before the council tonight on this position. What's before the council tonight is very simple. Under 17-8-5, the Board of Canvassers has decided to appoint and employ an individual as something. Now, if that something is as a clerk or a technical assistant, then they're within their right to do so. And if they do so, then what they've come before the council for, according to the correspondence that's here, is that they've come before the council to approve that appointment under state law and under that statute. And that's why they're here. And that's the issue that's before the council. So that's my statement, and I'll take questions if you have them.
Thank you, Solicitor Angel. Any questions or comments from council members? Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. Just having first heard about this when I saw it on the docket, obviously, there are questions that need to be addressed for any confirmation, just as we would with any of the mayor's directors or any of that. So I do have, this kind of seems like a complicated issue, but I think we can break it into two sections. First is the legal battle that clearly nobody knows what's what. There are two legal opinions that were just argued before us. We're not judges. This was, the existence of a legal issue was known at the time of the budget. The fact that nobody went and figured out what the right answer is, I don't think it's fair to put before this body to make them vote on something when we don't even know what the legal ramifications are or who's right. Maybe you are, maybe you are. I don't know. I'm not a judge. So once a judge says who's right, then that's when we should act. But that's between the administration and the canvassing board. Where I'm coming in, whoever appoints, I could care less, as long as the people of Cranston get the best candidate possible. The only way you do that is through a recruitment and interview process. So my questions are pretty easy. I'd like to A, know what the job description is. B, how many ads were put out, when those ads were put out and where. I'd like to know how many candidates applied. I'd like to know how many interviews were conducted. I'd like to then know what the criteria were in which to hire the person that you ended up deciding to hire. That is what we do here in Cranston. That's what we do for the citizens. We don't figure things out behind the scenes and then figure out a way to put them through as fast as possible. We do things right and we hire the best people. And I am confident because I know Director Lima and I know how good he is at his job. I'm confident that Mr. Brito would probably come out of that as the hired person based on Mr. Lima's confidence in him. However, we don't know and we never will know because that process, from my understanding, didn't occur at all. It's basically, we just knew who it was, and that's not how we operate in Cranston. Good government groups, advocates for years have been working hard on all levels of government to put those type of practices to bed. We don't do things like that anymore. Things are transparent here. We have interviews, we have advertisements. Just because you want to call something an appointment rather than a job, it doesn't change the facts. Whether it's an appointment or whatever it is, we find the best people for the job. And if that didn't happen, then there's no way that I feel any of us should even vote on this, but that's my personal position, and I would be voting no unless that type of process could be shown to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Riley. Councilman Ferry.
Yes, it has been obvious since the beginning of this that the administration is not in favor of hiring this person. So let's just call it what it is. So I feel that I haven't seen advertisements for any appointments that the administration has made. So if we're going to use that as a precedent, it doesn't hold any ground. I feel that our attorney for the council has given us a good argument, and I am in favor of this appointment tonight, and I will be voting to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ferry. Any other council members?
Council President, may I?
Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you. I would actually like to have the mayor, if possible, come up just to kind of get his insight, if possible. I think that's kind of where you were leading towards it, but I was just kind of want to know what his insight is on that. Thank you.
I didn't know whose hand was up first. Mayor Hopkins, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I haven't done this in a while. I had a great meeting with Emerson the other day, as well as with Director Lima. And I can assure you, Councilman Ferry, that I was in full support from day one of this gentleman to get this job. I'm standing here publicly in front of the entire city council to let you know that Not only did he deserve the job, I stood up publicly and said, I want him in this administration. The only concern was the legality of the appointment. That's the only reason that we're here. But as far as I'm concerned, Emerson is qualified, he's certified, he has the support of the director, and I've been supporting him from day one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions or comments? There being none, clerk, take the roll. Mr. Giacavone, did you want to speak? Oh, the floor is yours. You might have to hit the green light should come
There
on.
we go. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Randall Giacavone, 2219 Phoenix Avenue. I am the chairman of the Cranston Board of Canvassers. Again, I understand that this is, there's some legal questions. I think we were satisfied with our review of the law. I'm not going to speak about that. I just wanted to quickly answer Councilman Riley, since I don't want there to be an impression that the Board of Canvassers did anything. From listening to Councilman Riley respectfully, I think some people could discern that perhaps we did this in an inappropriate manner. I can assure you that that is not the case whatsoever. We've been having this discussion for over a year about this position. We've been in correspondence with the administration for at least 6 months about it. So to suggest that the Board of Canvassers, which all work very hard for the city of Cranston during the election time to ensure the security and access for our voters, did anything inappropriate, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that that was not the case, and assure you, Councilman Riley, that was indeed not the case. So, thank you.
Mr. Giacavone, I thank you for that. Respectfully, I do disagree. There was no transparency in this, whether it was an appointment or not, but I do understand your position, and I know you personally and respect you very much. I would have preferred in any level that we would have some transparency within our departments of that, but I respectfully, I do it with the utmost respect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giacavone. Council Member Renzulli?
I just have a question. There are, what, 2 other employees in canvassing, correct? Is that correct? How were they put in those positions? Did it go through a hiring process, or was it appointed? Is everything in canvassing appointed?
I
And
believe,
I'm sorry if I missed that.
no, I believe they were appointed because it's an unclassified position. Not sure if anybody can answer that specifically, but. Okay. Director Moretti.
There were 2 mayors who approached me in the history of these positions because it's been publicized for a while. Mayor Trafficante appointed 1 individual that's currently there in a similar, I'll say a similar role or in that office, and Mayor O'Leary appointed the other person that's there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any-
So how do we get clarity on what this is, how this is supposed to be? Do we have to go to a judge to have a 100% answer? I don't know who can answer that. I'm just kind of saying it.
Me personally, I think the state law is clear, and state law, in my opinion, or from what I've heard, trumps the charter and city law. But I don't have an answer for you on if we should go to a judge or not.
I
So-
think that should be answered by our council.
Review of decisions made by the Board of Canvassers is done at the Board of Elections. That's the first stop. It's not done in Superior Court. It's done at the Board of Elections. Board of Canvassers has made a decision to appoint someone, as I've heard here tonight, to an unclassified position and subject to the state statute. And anyone who's aggrieved under that statute by a decision of a Board of Canvassers needs to go to the Board of Elections.
What's that process?
Offhand, I couldn't tell you. It's an administrative process before the Board of Elections, but I'd be happy to get that for you.
Solicitor Malay?
There was a couple questions, and I apologize for keep popping up on behalf of this issue. according to the budget, first of all, both members of the canvassing office that Mr. Lima runs are classified positions. It's my understanding, and I could stand here being corrected, but that both of those positions predated the union and the Teamsters here in the city. And the collective bargaining agreement provides that any position that's classified needs to be posted and tested for, which would subject us to a grievance. The canvassing board would not have the ability to appoint an unclassified individual. So again, there are some problems to this, and I think we just need to get, while Mr. Angel may be correct on some of his points, I may be correct on some of my points. We have some problems with this. And I think we are going down the wrong path in the rush. And this is not about the canvassing department. This is not about any individuals. It's not about the appointment that we're here today. It's about the legalities in the law. As a lawyer, that's what our job is to do. And when laws are interpreted, language is given their plain and obvious meaning. There's no ambiguity, mind you, members of this council, of what the word clerk means or what the word technical support means or technical specialist. I'm only reading what's before the canvassing board and what's now before you. That is the job description that came to the canvassing board, and that is the job description that is listed here. All you have to do is go into last week's canvassing agenda and look at the description of the job. That does not fit 1785, in my humble opinion. I am not a judge. I am a lawyer. But I do know what clear and concise language is. And I think there's zero confusion about what the word clerk is and what the word technical specialist is, or technical support, neither of which are listed in this job description. So that is the basis, one of the big problems with this issue here. It's not about the individual. And the person who would be appointed will be classified and will be subject to potentially a grievance. And again, potentially costing the city thousands of dollars. Thank you.
If I can, Mr. President, section 14.04 of our Code of Ordinances says personnel of the city shall be divided into the classified and unclassified services. The unclassified services shall consist of A through J as enumerated. H as enumerated says that the employees of the Board of Canvassers are in the unclassified service. That's what your Code of Ordinances says.
Thank you, Solicitor. Council Member Renzulli, or anybody who hasn't spoken yet? You sure? Council Member Renzulli.
So are the other two employees classified or unclassified? Because we're getting two different answers. So is personnel answer, could Director Lima answer? I'm just,
Well,
it has to be somewhere. The
by
union knows.
ordinance, they have to be unclassified. And according to state case law, they can also be in a union, subject to a collective bargaining agreement. So being unclassified and being in a union is not in conflict with one another.
Yeah, that's not what I'm asking. I'm just asking if there's a piece of paper filed within personnel that says classified, unclassified with their name on it and their job. I just want to know if that exists.
Director Strom, I see you there, but I don't know if either you can answer it, Director Lima or Director Perillo.
I'm looking at the budget, and the budget says classified, and they are in the Teamsters. So I assume they have all the rights and benefits of a Teamster employee, and they are listed as classified. Now, based on what Attorney Angel was saying, there could be a conflict with the budget book, but right now in the budget book, they're listed as classified like many other people that are in there, that
And the reason for that is because they wanted to make sure that people would be tested for positions. Now, obviously, these people were already in those positions for quite some time, but going forward, every clerk or position that's a clerical position has to be tested. And then you choose the top three, one of the top three in that testing position. And I think, Mr. Perillo, don't you concur to that? That's how we do things?
Yes, it does, definitely seems to be a conflict from what Mr. Angel's saying and what the budget book actually says. So all classified employees take a test, go through the process. An unclassified person wouldn't go through that process. That would be an appointment, whether it's a board of canvassers appointment or a mayoral appointment. Any appointed person would be non-classified with all the benefits and coverages of a union member. So that, I think that is the conflict between the budget book and the charter 1402 that Solicitor Angel mentioned.
And within a department, are there mixes of classified and
Everyone-
unclassified?
everyone else, to
Everyone
my
in one
knowledge,
department?
Except I think maybe the harbor master is unclassified, but everybody else in the city is classified. And because those two persons there now, they've been here 25 plus years, there hasn't been a process when they leave, what do we do? That hasn't happened yet. So I'm assuming that once this gets rectified, that'll be how we move forward with those two positions when they become vacant as well. So that's why this particular issue is as important as it is, solidifying the appointing authority for this and going forward.
Okay, thank you. One more question. There's been mention that this position doesn't fit the description of clerical or technical. Is that possible that that's because it's a newer position? Like they didn't have bilingual specialists whenever, this was written originally. So what are they doing other places? Does anyone know what they're doing in other cities? If they have bilingual specialists, do they reclassify them?
Yeah, that I don't know. I definitely don't have it. I have a whole book of positions with job descriptions, and
Mhm.
bilingual specialist is not in there.
Okay, so if a new position is created, say not this one, another one, how do we work that into human resources?
We would sit down with the director, find out what the job duties and responsibilities are, and create a new one. And then we work with Bob to discern what the pay grade and step would be, and then incorporate into the Teamsters Union and all the laborers.
But do they fall on?
They would fall under a step and grade that already exists. Different employees have different steps and grades, so this new position would fall under whatever step probably Bob and the council agreed upon during the budget season. It would fall under that level. You're welcome.
Just to remind everybody, I think what's before us today is an unclassified appointed position. I know we're kind of getting off tangent a little bit and talking about how things were done before a lot of us even lived in the city, but just want to put that back on track. Councilmember Marino?
Thank you, Council President. I would like to say this evening that I think in life it serves us all well, and even as council members, as elected officials, to take a forest through the trees approach here and try to do that in everything we do. And here, I respectfully disagree with some council members, Councilman Riley, who specifically made mention of, well, we need to throw it to a judge. No, we don't need to throw it to a judge to decide. Our charter is clear. It defines the position. What we may have done in the past with employees in that department is of no matter, because perhaps we maybe have gotten it wrong in the past, and now we're wise enough to do it right. In addition to that, we are all in agreement, and even the mayor this evening, that we are in support of the person that is going in this position. This is something that has been rather transparent. The Board of Canvassing has held numerous meetings, public meetings on this issue through the budget process. There have been discussions with respect to this position, and there is a need for this position that's going to serve the citizens in the city of Cranston. That's for the benefit of all. I think that the law is in favor of this appointment, that it is a function of us as city council to do that. And I would be in support of this appointment this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other questions or comments from council members? There being none, I'll just say that I will be in support of this evening. I think the state law is clear, and that's what I read when I take this into consideration this evening. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
No.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to report of city officers. We have nothing on the agenda item here. Moving on to executive communications, we have the legal expense analysis. Are there any questions on the legal expense report? No questions? I just have one question for the administration. On the legal expense report, Solicitor Malay, how up to date is that? Is that current up to within a week or two of our meeting, or how is that? I know it's the same format for the years that I've been on the council. Just curious how often it's updated.
It should be updated on a weekly basis or at least every 2 weeks. We occasionally there are bills that filter in that should be paid within the fiscal year. I would say it's probably 99.9% accurate. There's probably 1 or 2 small bills out there that should be included within fiscal year 20, which are not, strike that, fiscal year 21, which haven't been paid yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Strom?
It's always been the practice that of the clerk that's in the law department brings all the bills up to date prior to the council meeting. Now, as Solicitor Malay did state, some of the attorneys are a little slow in submitting bills at times. So that's why part of our process is we keep the books open till the end of September. So there could be a few that slip in, but as he stated, she's very much up to date, and I would say, as he stated, 99% is done, and that's from July 1st of 20 to June 30 of 21.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Director, and thank you, Solicitor. Any questions or comments from council members before we move on the legal expense report? There being none, we'll move on to an update from the administration regarding the rodent issue in the city. Director Moretti, thank you.
We'll address the Cranston Stadium area. That has spurred many more complaints, as Director Mason indicated, that probably because of the publicity of this, it's become a very known citywide issue that's been heightened. So we're receiving a lot of complaints / matters called to our attention. I think Director Mason explained it pretty well where we stand in terms of with our in-house people, and we're into mid-September for new complaints. So that's it citywide. Relative to the concentrated effort in the stadium area, it was 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago today, is when Griggs and Brown was hired, who's gone out, and I think Director Mason mentioned $2,700 versus a quote we had of $9,600 from another company to affect those 5 houses in that concentrated area. Basically, it was 1 house, 1 property in particular, and then 4 surrounding properties abutting that property. So they've been out 3 times a week checking the bait, and I witnessed an execution the other day. It was not pleasant. But they're there, they're present. Just anecdotally is some of the neighbors that say they feel it's getting better to a certain extent. They're not seeing as many rodents just running around as freely, not as much during the day, that type of activity. But the Griggs and Brown gentleman thought that it's not solved. And it's going to take months to address that particular area, months, probably in the 3-4 month timeframe. So they are addressing it. Dave LaQuali is out continually in the area baiting and particularly rebaiting so many properties. I think there's about 35, 36 properties just in that area that he's working on. And so he kind of works in tandem with Griggs and Brown. As to a person that was charged, that person was cited and found by the judge to be violating the city ordinance on feeding wildlife. The person was determined a week later to be continuing to feed wildlife, and there was a trial, and that person was found in contempt of court and asked again to make sure that person complies with the court order, and given till August 12th. Hopefully that does not repeat offenses, I should say. And if they're, I'll say, clean by then, that the case would be purged, and that's a legal term. I'd probably defer to these guys. But you can imagine what that is. So we continue to watch it. It's hard to prove someone's doing it, but certainly the city's on it, both from internally and with Griggs and Brown. Any questions?
I was just wondering, do you have any idea how many calls or stops or visits that the rodent control specialist has in a day?
Yeah. From Mr. Mason, I was told approximately six or seven baitings. That's about how many that's accomplished in the course of a day. Okay.
Thank you.
And what he does is that happens for 4 days a week, typically, unless something comes up. And on Fridays is typically the rebaiting process. Okay, so for 4 days a week, 6 or 7 residences. Remember, it's residences up to 4 units. The city does not handle commercial or industrial properties.
So technically, the wait right now is 7 weeks. If somebody calls in 7 weeks, the population in that house or area could triple.
It could increase.
So I just hope that we're looking into how to improve that number. Please.
We're looking into, there's 2 other individuals we're targeting to get certified, particularly by DEM in the handling of chemicals and what's allowed, what's not allowed. So the city is looking at to see if there's 2 laborers, Teamsters laborers, to be qualified to do it on a part-time basis to assist, but they have to take that exam, pass that exam.
Thank you. Councilmember Riley.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to know is this the only process where you go house by house baiting the houses, or is there a larger scale, given that it's not like, we have an infestation in one house, we have to go bait it and it's over. This is, maybe there isn't. I'm trying to get some clarity because you've spoken with Briggs and Brown. Are there other options of a larger scale?
Well, the city basically responds to complaints. Are we doing things proactively to investigate properties? No, it's more on a reactive basis than proactive, based on resources.
Thank you. Any other questions on rodents? Director Moretti, I actually have a question. On the rebates on the Friday, if there's a constituent that has, the boxes in the yard, I'm sure every day that number of boxes in the city grows. Do they have to call and make an appointment to come back for a rebate, or is that something he automatically checks on?
It's automatically scheduled. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's about 4 weeks
Okay.
that they'll go back.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
And they happen a lot faster.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions? There being none, Director Moretti, I think you have one more item under executive communications, a request to be continued in service for 1 year, Captain Lawrence E. Karen Jr., Cranston Fire Department.
Yes, Captain Karen completed all the requirements, all the requirements are fulfilled to continue in service. We urge that he continues.
Thank you, Director Moretti. I'll entertain a motion to continue in service, Captain Karen.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, congratulations, Captain Karen. Moving on to Council President Communications. Just want to take a minute to thank Elaine in IT, Tom right here in front of us working the board, and Mark Marchese in purchasing. The three of them worked really hard to get us to where we are today, where we're streaming on Zoom, streaming on YouTube at the same time. People at home can participate in the meetings and still call in and give us testimony. I know that was a lot of work. The technology was not quite there in council chambers. So I just want to thank the three of you specifically for all your work that you did to get us to where we are today. So thank you very much. And a little bit of somber news. Robert Nautilillo from Nautilillo Funeral Home passed away. So on behalf of the city council, I'd like to send sincere condolences to the Nautilillo family, Mrs. Nautilillo, and to Bobby and Ryan. So our sincere condolences on Robert's passing. Moving on to council member communications, council member Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. You know, as we know, the plastic bag ordinance went into effect, enforcement went into effect July 1st. I've personally witnessed some businesses abiding by it. I've seen others not abiding by it. I know that there's some leniency going on, and that's fine as education continues about the rollout of this. But I'm just wondering, now that we're at the end of July, how enforcement of it, when are we going to start enforcing the ordinance?
Thank you, council member. I know the administration has been working on sending out somebody. Can you give us an update on if somebody's not in compliance, if sending out Director Paulino, or exactly what's been going on?
In terms of enforcement, I'll defer to one of the solicitors, but in terms of what's been done since mid-June, Steve Piva has put on the city's website, the front page, the notice to the businesses about the non-reusable plastic bag ordinance. Director Paulino has sent out to all the businesses that he has email addresses for. Again, similar notification about the July 1 deadline. And also the Herald has been kind enough on their front page in their, what's it called, the blog section or something like that, where they were kind enough, particularly last week's, to put notification there also. That's what's been done. Personally, I've been to the big box stores in Cranston. They seem to be compliant. I know that the bags are ripping at Stop and Shop, and Major Paulino's wife got free eggs and a $20 gift certificate because the bag broke.
Thank you, Director. I know that when this went into effect, one of the large grocery stores in the city didn't have it, but I think you sent Director Paulino out and they spoke with them, and it's all paper now. So and the eggs are breaking, but maybe they can get better bags. Councilmember Donegan?
Just paper bags are great. And just for anyone that's watching or anyone here, the reusable plastic bags are not prohibited under the ordinance. In fact, I think scientifically and environmentally, I think reusable plastic bags are actually preferable because they use less, they create less emissions in the production process. And as long as you use them, a reusable plastic bag, I think 5 times, it outweighs environmentally, paper. So try and get good quality reusable plastic bags. And I think I've had the same ones from Dave's in my car for about 4 years. So everyone do what you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Donegan. Moving on to Councilmember Vargas.
Thank you, Council President. Actually, I'm going to defer real quickly to Councilmember Ferry first, and then I'll go right after him.
Councilmember Ferry.
Just wanted to present this cushion to Dan Kitteridge from the Herald. So, because he had asked us to pad the pews out there and we didn't get a chance to do it. So this is for you.
Councilmember Ferry, it's like going to the old Patriot Stadium, sitting on the cold benches. You had to bring a cushion. You, Solicitor Malay remembers those days. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Dan, it wasn't in the budget, so we couldn't do it.
I hope that one goes in the paper though, huh? They're gonna figure out, you gotta tweet that one out.
Front page, Dan gets cushion. All right. Woman Vargas.
Great, thank you. So the Broad Street evacuation matter before us. But I was not sure whether or not this is a matter that has to go before executive session if there is any legality. Otherwise, if not, just wanted to have more from the administration, and I can provide some updates, but I would think that the administration probably has a better update as far as what's, what happened. I'm just trying to make sure that we're all somewhat on the same page. I know a few council members had reached out to me as well. Just trying to get an update, what has the city been doing, or how many tenants are still at the Hilton, and kind of to be all on the same page. I put it out there so that way we're able to provide every council member with an update. I just don't know if there's any legality that we have to go into an executive session. If not, something that's public knowledge that we can, then that's fine as well.
To the solicitors, is this an item we can discuss openly? Or is there even a clause for executive session? We can get an update and see if they have any questions. Thank you.
As of last Tuesday, we can backtrack. Certainly, the councilwomen, all three have been very active, present, doing everything they can to comfort all the people that have been misplaced or displaced, I should say. There were 39 units affected. Now, we call them families, whether it be a single person in the unit, whether it be a couple or a child or two. Most, I'd say, are singles or couples. So as most of you know, I'm sure all of you know, they were housed at the Hilton at their option. The mayor had arranged for a preferred rate. In fact, CCAP was complimentary of the rate. It was $89 an evening for the people there. So the first night of check-in, I recall to be about 35 families checked in. As of last Tuesday, Steve just reported that 15 are remaining. I believe all or just about all of the people that were non-income qualifying have left. With the help of St. Vincent de Paul. In many instances, many people went to go look with families. Many people obtained their own housing. The remaining people continue to be there, probably less by now. The numbers have dwindled over the last couple of weeks. As the councilwomen know, Mayor Hopkins and people, folks in the administration, were there every weeknight, including Friday nights, with the people, trying to support them from an emotional end and trying to think of volunteer resources. And you people did a great job, along with, frankly, the administration, the mayor, in terms of doing everything that's possible. The city has not invested any money into this, and it does not have a legal obligation. And if I'm wrong, if one of the attorneys speak up, I believe, speaking with Dave Rodeo, the only legal responsibility of the city is to ensure that that facility is safe and secure. And they have been cited, and and also to make sure that this, so they could be the place be buttoned up. But in terms of the requirements to get them back in, again, speak please if I'm incorrect. There's no legal requirement that they have to have these people come back in and occupy the facility. They are making individual arrangements if people want to remove their belongings. Steve's been facilitating some of that, people going in to retain some of their small personal belongings, medications and that phase is well over with. So that's where it's at right now. Speaking with Inspector Rodeo yesterday, He didn't see any construction work going on. Yes, yesterday, Friday. There was no, he didn't observe any construction work going on, but he felt the place was safe and secure. The rest would be conjecture as to what their intent might be, which I wouldn't be in the position to speculate. Any questions?
I don't have any other further questions, but I do have to say that while we agree and disagree on issues, I have to, given the fact that that building is in the ward that I represent, and while walking on eggshells on the actual issue itself, I definitely would not be able to sleep if A, I did not recognize, although they're not here, the American Red Cross and definitely CCAP, Rhode Island EMA, and St. Vincent de Paul, Mike Vieira from St. Vincent de Paul, but also in regards to the agreement and disagreement, I think that's one thing that, the mayor, all of us, the administration in general, including, as a council, we were able to definitely, have some conversations in hopes that we could help out. The families are there, and food was donated by many organizations as well, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So I do want to say that we have done and gone above and beyond. I'm not sure if any other city would have done this, but I have to say that it goes to show that we came in unity to work in favor and help in support of the families. And I've been in touch with some of the families as well till this day. And so totally, it's a tragedy, but I wanted to get an update as well in case there was anything that I missed, but also thank the mayor and everyone as well, and all the council members and everyone else involved in this. So thank you for that.
If I could please mention to Councilman Paplakis was there, arranged for some food also, so I
Yes,
didn't
he
mention him
was.
a
That's
moment ago.
right.
He's
I
certainly-
apologize. The canteen, Providence Canteen?
Yeah, just the thank you to me is not, not needed, but thank you to the Providence Canteen for coming down. I know there were a lot of vendors that everybody got, especially, the Providence Canteen, they're great. So I want to give them a big shout out along with everybody else.
And there were many more organizations. The Diocese of Providence donated, I think, about $4,000 worth of gift cards. It goes on and on. But to your point, the Red Cross of Salvation Army is superb. CCAP, most magnificent organization I've worked with in my short tenure here. They were Joanne and Sherry, the gang there. We are very proud of them. I could tell you that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. There are two other, there's one other item that is not on the docket, and I'm not sure if I can just maybe add that to the next Public Works, maybe then docket or
Sure.
so. And that's just wondering if the administration or would probably be able to reach out to the state in terms of an update on the Park Avenue Bridge. It's been closed. It's supposed to be closed for 4 months. School is starting. We're getting ready, I think, the end of the month. I know the last update that I received, they were trying to get open by, I think it was September, but I'm just trying to get a sense if we can, unless you have an update or, we've been in touch with them recently, but I'd like to know on.
Yeah, Director Mason's not here, but I saw an email flashing last week that they're scheduled to be completed at this phase to be able to open that bridge in August. That's what I'm guessing, end of August, but before schools. And I think that was intended to to open that before schools. That was the latest I saw last week.
All right, thank you. We can just add that to the Public Works, Rosalba, Council President of that. So, okay, that'd be great for an update.
The director could find out more specific. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosalba, did you get that? Okay, very good. Moving on, Council Member Marino.
Thank you, Council President. I would like this evening just take an opportunity to speak about two items. One is the Night Farm Trail, which is in Councilman Brady's ward, in Ward 4. And I'd like to thank the West Bay Land Trust for organizing an event to clean up the trail, which, it's natural, gets cluttered with obstruction through nature and different storms, and it's quite an extensive, long trail. And they partnered wonderfully with Boy Scout Troop 6, 8, and 66 for assisting. I just want to give a thank you to them for their efforts. Which I believe, Council President, are you with one of those Boy Scout troops?
Go Troop 6.
Also this evening, I want to take this opportunity to spread the word about the RIPTA beach bus, particularly given, the unavailability of the Budlong pool. While it's not exactly the same, it's the closest we're going to get to a second for residents. And RIPTA has a beach bus that is designated the South County Express Beach Bus, and it does stop at Cranston City Hall on the weekends and holidays. It will take you to Scarborough, or it will take you to Roger Wheeler Beach, or for those of us who are a little older, the Salty Bryan Beach. And it's $2, I believe, per person for the fare, and they can go to ripta.com/beach-service for more details. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other council member communications? Councilmember Renzulli.
Is it possible to go back to Broad Street for a second? I didn't want to interrupt Lamas when she had moved on.
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. So I just wanted to thank the administration for giving us the opportunity to work alongside with them. I felt a little bit like we were with them all day, a few days, like we were almost members of the administration. We were collaborating. We were on the phone with various charitable organizations. We were working with constituents directly. And it was just really nice, going across the aisle, different opinions all the time we have, but we worked with the mayor whose idea this was in the first place. He was going to help those people. He wasn't going to let them be without a place to stay. So I think it was just really nice for a couple of weeks. Everything was really going well. And I just have a question, I guess is probably to a solicitor. Do we have any jurisdiction over how soon this, owner gets the people back in there, or can he work as slow as he wants to work? Because I know, people have questions about that. So I'm just going to ask.
The answer is probably not, but I have been in discussions. I've had some discussions with the unit's attorney, and those will continue. I have had some preliminary discussions with the Attorney General's office because there is a specific section of that office that deals with housing and whether or not any of this would fall under their jurisdiction or not. And it's a difficult, it's something we haven't seen. And as far as the last question, until Mr. Rodeo's department and the fire department deem the Broad Street address, I think it's 1890, but until they deem that to be livable and safe, then we can't get anyone in any event. And so that is the biggest issue. To put a timeline, I don't think we have the authority to do that. I think that, and I don't want to speak for the landowner, but I'm assuming that he would want to have it fixed as soon as possible, but it also needs to be done the correct way so that this does not happen again and it become another liability. So, and legal services has gotten involved as well. They included our department in an email. They are representing certain individuals that fall within their criteria of representation. So there may be more to come out of that. But again, everything is kind of being discussed at this point. But to answer your specific question, the answer is not really.
So originally when we thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, I thought Director Rodeo said that the first floor, it was safe for them to move in based on the little.
My understanding is that, and again, I don't want to talk too much in public about it. But my understanding is that the property owner has an expert as well and is also looking at that. And it might be that their expert is in difference with our department. So, like anything else, I like to leave those conversations to the experts. And I'd be happy to report back at some point in time if I have more to offer.
And if this is probably to the administration, but if I know we don't have necessarily the staff to do so, but if we're not proactive, then something like this could potentially happen again. So there are, complaints of different buildings. How deeply are we into citing other landowners and property management companies who take a long time to fix things?
The city responds to issues, complaints. Lacking the resources of being proactively inspecting facilities on a random basis. There's no cycle for doing that due to lack of resources. I guess anything can happen anywhere, whether it be the city of Cranston or anywhere else. But we make do with the resources we have, and correct, the resources are not currently being proactive inspecting commercial or industrial or residential facilities without issues or complaints. If there is an issue, I have to say they're all over it. As to, I think I could mention the update on that one question you had about being able to get in the first floor. I think it's factual. There's public to was conveyed to the administration at first. That first week that they were thinking that the residents of the first floor could get in with some temporary construction supports that would work. And then the plan was to get those people in the first floor within 7 days or so, 7 to 10 days. And then a week or two after that for the people in the second floor to share it up. But that didn't happen afterwards. A few days into it, we were informed by them that no one is to be allowed back into the property until the entire construction project is complete. And that's their prerogative. If they feel that's the safest way, we cannot impose our safety on them if they're complying with securing the facility, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Councilmember. Any other Councilmember communications?
One last quick thing, if
Sure.
possible. Thank you. Just want to put it out there, those that are watching on YouTube streaming and for the council, the Edgewood Waterfront Preservation Association is having a volunteer day at Stillhouse Cove this Saturday from 9:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock in the park. So anybody has any time at all, I'm sure EWPA would be very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other Councilmember communications? There being none, I'll just take one more liberty. I just want to thank the mayor and the administration. Last week, we had St. Mary's Feast. It's a fairly large festival, probably the biggest in the city. Went off without a hitch. A lot of people visit the restaurants in the neighborhoods, and any requests that went into the administration or any help that we needed, they were right there. And Mayor Hopkins, you're here. Thank you very much. And thank you to all that were involved. It was a success. So Knightsville's very happy the week after. So thank you. Okay, moving on. We have council business matters carried over. We don't have any. We have introduction of new business. There are 17 items here plus the claims. I will not ask Madam Clerk to read them all, so I'll entertain a motion to refer all of the new business to the proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? There being none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. We have no miscellaneous business on the clerk's desk. The city council's next regular monthly meeting will be held on August 23rd, 2021. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilman Donegan, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes,